Hello everybody, this is Sandy's Kitchen in Georgia. I am a southern cook and I love fresh veggies. I use fresh ingredients all the time if at all possible, especially when the veggies that are in season are available. Heck, I get in here and I experiment in my kitchen all the time. Now today I have a dish that is a family favorite. It's been around for years. I learned it from my mama, who learned it from her mama, and that's just how we learn to cook around here. I would call it a comfort food like mac and cheese. Let's go over the ingredients. Okay, today we're going to make a 3-cheese squash and Vidalia onion casserole. Now this is a true southern dish. First we're going to start out with summer yellow squash, and we're going to have 3 pounds chopped. Next we're going to use a Vidalia onion. I use 1 large. I like to chop it into big chunks so that you know you're eating that sweet Vidalia onion. Okay, now we're going to use 3 cheeses in this casserole. I use an 8-ounce bar of Philadelphia cream cheese. I use about 2 ounces of a fresh Parmesan cheese that we're going to grate on the top of this casserole. I also use a full pound of grated sharp cheddar cheese. We're going to put about 2/3 of this in the casserole and about 1/3 of it on the top. Also, I use fresh butter. We'll be using about 6 tablespoons of fresh butter. We also have 3 eggs that I'm going to beat, and it's going to give our casserole a souffle type consistency. Also, we have fresh herbs today. I have about a handful of fresh basil that we're going to chop finely. I'm going to have a handful of fresh parsley. I'm going to use 3 cloves of garlic that's going to be chopped, as you can see right here. I also use a little cracked black pepper, about a teaspoon, and sea salt, which will equal about 1.5 teaspoons. In the top of the casserole, I make my own breadcrumbs. So I just use pieces of bread that I toast in a butter, and I break them up. I put them in the blender or the food processor, and I come out with a nice buttery, toasted breadcrumb. I've added to my pan 2 tablespoons of fresh butter and about 3 or 4 tablespoons of olive oil. This is what we're going to saute in. You want a nice medium-low heat to saute our garlic. We're going to add our garlic to the pan and start that sauteing. Next, we're going to add our onions as this heats up. And we're going to cook these together until the onions are nice and translucent. At this point, we're going to add in our squash to saute with these vegetables that we've already put in there. And we're going to coat them with the oils till it gets tender. Okay, at this point we're going to also add our fresh chopped basil and some fresh chopped parsley. That's going to give it a little bit of color. And I like to add about 1/4 cup of, or maybe even 1/2 cup of white cooking wine. I just kind of put it in just to sight, and that's going to give some nice flavor and help the sauteing vegetables to tender out real quick. We're going to cover that and let that cook and tenderize. Okay, it looks like our vegetables are nice and tender and ready to go into the casserole dish. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add this to a 9 by 13 inch casserole dish that I have generously buttered with a stick of butter. You can also use nonstick spray or olive oil if you wish. Oops, let me get that last piece. There we go. Now, next we're going to add a little bit of seasonings, our sea salt and our cracked black pepper, and 4 tablespoons of melted butter. And I stir this in, just get everything mixed in, get the seasonings mixed in. Next, we're going to add the 3 eggs that we beat up. This is going to give our casserole a nice consistency. Make it all stick together. Now I've taken the Philly cream cheese and I've cubed it and let it soften a little bit. So we're going to add this, and this is going to kind of melt in the hot vegetables and get really creamy. Also, we're going to add the grated sharp cheddar cheese. This is about 2/3 of a pound, so it is nice and cheesy. That should do right there. We're going to stir that around. Get it incorporated into and around the vegetables. Now I'm going to grate some Parmesan cheese over the top. Oops. Okay, now after we've grated the Parmesan over the top, we're also going to add some more of the sharp cheddar cheese that we grated. This is probably about 1/3 of that pound of cheese. And we just sprinkle it generously over the top. And then our last step is our breadcrumbs. There we go. Ready to go in the oven. Now we're going to bake this in a preheated oven at 350 for approximately 35 minutes, or just until you see that it's bubbling through and hot throughout. There is our 3-cheese squash and Vidalia onion casserole while it's cooking, and we'll be right back. Okay, I am so glad this casserole is done. Folks around here are getting really hungry. Now, if you feel like that your breadcrumbs are getting done a little bit too fast, feel free to place a piece of tin foil loosely over the top in order to stop that browning process. Okay, everybody. From Sandy's kitchen to yours, enjoy.